A typical family gathering was how the day commenced when my father eventually betrayed me. Everything seemed normal. Fake smiles, hollow pleasantries. In our family's grand living room, I watched my stepmother, Meredith, arranging fresh roses in an antique vase while my father continuously checked his watch near his mahogany desk. I'm Jessica, and for the last 3 years I worked closely with my father at our company, learning every aspect of the business. It was a business he promised would be mine one day, but that promise shattered today. "Everyone, please take a seat," my father announced, wielding his authoritative tone, one that I had grown to respect. "I have a significant announcement." Nearby, my stepbrother Quinton lounged in a leather armchair, exuding a smug demeanor that churned my insides. At 22, he had never worked a day in his life, instead preferring to indulge in parties and flaunt his so-called entrepreneurial mindset on Instagram. As my father continued, "I've been thinking about the future of our family business." He shared a smile with Meredith, who only smiled back warmly. "After careful contemplation, I've decided to hand over majority ownership and control to Quinton," my father announced. Those words hit me hard, and I clutched the sofa armrests until my knuckles turned white, whispering a faint, "What?" "It's a logical decision," Meredith chimed in, placing a supportive hand on Quinton's shoulder. "A fresh perspective is precisely what the company needs." Struggling to keep my voice level, I interjected, "Dad, we discussed this. I have been working hard for 3 years, have my MBA, and know every client and supplier." Interrupting, my father raised his hand. "Jessica, please. This decision wasn't made lightly. Quinton offers innovative ideas that are more in line with our future vision." Leaning forward, Quinton's designer watch gleamed under the light. "Don't worry, sis. I'll find a place for you, maybe I stood abruptly, my legs trembling. "Some capacity, Dad. You promised me once I finished my MBA. Meredith butted in. "We need to consider what's best for the family." A bitter laugh escaped me, mingling with a sob. "I am your family, your daughter." My father avoided my gaze. "You will continue to receive your salary, but Quinton will be the CEO starting next month." "Next month?" The room began to spin. "You've already decided everything?" "The paperwork is underway." My father finally looked at me. "I'm sorry if this disappoints you, but it's what's best for everyone." Grabbing my purse hastily, nearly knocking over a side table, I managed a "Congratulations, Quinton," my voice steady, refusing to crack. "Enjoy running the company I spent years helping to build." As I headed for the door, Meredith called after me, "Jessica, don't be dramatic. This is why we need someone more level-headed in charge." I stopped at the doorway, turned Dad, but he still wouldn't face me. "We can discuss this later, Jessica," he said. "No," I responded quietly, "we won't." Exiting the house with my head held high, I let the tears fall. Once inside my car, my phone buzzed. A message from my best friend Lucy. "How did it go?" she asked. "Starting the engine," my blurred vision answered. "They gave everything to Quinton. Everything I worked for, all Dad promised me." Lucy quickly replied, "I'm coming over. Don't do anything rash before I arrive." Driving away from my childhood home, I caught a glimpse of my father watching from the window. Our eyes met, and I saw something flicker across his face. Regret, perhaps, but with Meredith soon at his side, he turned away. 3 years of early mornings, late nights, missed holidays, and cancelled plans. 3 years of mastering every angle of the business and earning employees and clients respect, all handed to Quinton on a gold platter, thanks to his mother maneuvering her way into my father's life, convincing him her son deserved my inheritance. My phone buzzed again. Lucy sent another reassuring message. "We'll figure this out. You're not alone." I took a deep breath, wiping away the last of my tears, realizing this wasn't the end. I may have lost my inheritance, but not my knowledge, experience, or resolve. They thought they could sideline me. They were about to learn I was very much my father's daughter, unwilling to back down without a fight. 3 days after my world crumbled, I sat in Virgil's law office, surrounded by towering bookshelves and the scent of leather. Our family lawyer, who had known me since childhood, showed genuine concern as I recounted everything. "I don't understand," I muttered with a tissue in hand. "How could he legally do this? The company was meant to be split among the kids." Virgil, our lawyer, removed his glasses, rubbing his nose bridge. "Your father restructured the company ownership last year. As the majority shareholder, he could transfer his shares to whomever he chose." "Last year," I muttered, the betrayal cutting deeper with that knowledge. "Jessica," Virgil hesitated before standing and walking to a large filing cabinet, "there's more you should know about your grandmother's will. 5 years before my grandmother passed, leaving everything to my father, or so I thought. Virgil returned with a thick folder, placing it carefully on his desk. Your grandmother was a remarkable woman, and let's say she had foresight. He extracted a document, handing it to me. There's a clause here your father doesn't know about. She set up a trust in your name with very specific conditions. Hands trembling, I read the document. $2 million, I whispered. But why didn't I know about this? The clause required you to start a successful business by age 30. Virgil explained. She believed in fostering entrepreneurship over mere inheritance. She saw for her legacy to inspire creation, not dependence. Stunned, I leaned back. Does my father know? No, Virgil replied. Your grandmother explained it was to be revealed only to you if disinherited from the family business. She knew, anticipated something like this might happen. My phone buzzed again, a message from Lucy, asking about the meeting. Ignoring it, I focused on the document in hand. What counts as a successful business? According to the terms, Virgil explained, you must show a profitable quarter within your first year of operation. The business must be solely yours, no family involvement. I chuckled a bit unsteadily. That's not a risk anymore. There's more, Virgil continued, retrieving another document. Your grandmother left detailed records of business contacts, potential opportunities, even market research. She conducted a toolbox, not just money. Why didn't she tell me all this before she died? At her core, she believed you needed to learn what loss meant before you could truly build something unique. Her words were, Jessica needs to experience loss to understand what it represents to forge something meaningful firsthand. Standing by the window, I observed the bustling street below. $2 million, I repeated. That's enough to create something real. Jessica knew that starting a business was a daunting task, even with a trust fund. Virgil nodded in agreement and said with a serious expression, 22, if you choose to accept this challenge, you must keep the trust fund a secret. Your grandmother was firm about this. The money should seem to come from your own efforts and investors, so no one could claim they provided an unfair advantage. 22 Jess felt a new sense of hope she hadn't experienced in days as she agreed, already forming a plan. Can I take these documents to review? She asked, to which Virgil complied, gathering them into a folder. 22 Your grandmother believed in you. She saw a spark that reminded her of herself. 22 Virgil added as she stood to leave. Outside the office building, she finally responded to Lucy's text. 22 Let's meet for coffee. I have an idea. 22 Her grandmother had given her more than just a financial opportunity. She offered Jessica a platform to prove her capabilities. At the coffee shop, Lucy raised an eyebrow as Jessica explained her plan for an eco-friendly business transition from corporate finance. Jessica showed her research on the growing sustainable product market and how consumers desired quality without sacrificing conscience. 22 What are your thoughts? 22 Lucy asked as they went over potential strategies. They discussed biodegradable packaging solutions and a streamlined supply chain that could revolutionize the industry. Lucy informed Jessica that Quinton was asking about her latest activities, likely driven by Meredith's worry over legal proceedings. Jessica wasn't fazed, having bigger ambitions in mind. She explained her saving strategy and planned to attract investors, leveraging her experience at her father's company. 22 This is for me. 22 she declared, determined to outline her own future independently of her father's influence. While discussing further details, Quinton made an unexpected appearance at the cafe, making a condescending offer for her to return to the family business. 22 No thanks. 22 she replied firmly, determined to carve her own path. Lucy supported her, promising to help with market research and networking. After gathering her belongings, Jessica left the cafe with Lucy, contemplating a new office space downtown that was eco-friendly. As Quinton watched them leave, her resolve strengthened further. Later, Jessica prepared for a crucial pitch meeting with Greenshift Solutions. Seated in a restaurant executive's sleek office, she explained their capabilities, emphasizing their strategic partnerships and streamlined operations. Their proposal included a full packaging transition, promising a significant cost reduction compared to established suppliers. Just as they discussed a trial run, Jessica's phone buzzed, displaying a message from Quinton. His intrusion was a reminder of her competitive environment, yet she stayed focused on her goal, ready to prove herself. Displayed on the screen, I turned down the call. Family business? Sarah inquired, noticing my demeanor. Former family business, I corrected. I'm creating something new now. She acknowledged this with a slow nod and then extended the contract. Let's initiate with a 3-month trial at 2 locations. If it succeeds, we'll talk about broadening to all 30, she proposed. My heart jumped with excitement, but I kept my demeanor professional. As we shook hands outside her office, I permitted myself a brief smile. Our first substantial client. iPhone buzzed again. Quinton had left a voicemail. Despite my better judgment, I listened to it. Hey sis, I heard you're making an impact in the eco-friendly sector. Let's grab coffee. I have a proposal that could benefit us both. I erased the message and dialed Lucy instead. We got it, I exclaimed as soon as she answered. The restaurant chain contract. I knew you would, Lucy cheered. This calls for a celebration. Drinks tonight? I can't, I reply, meeting with potential investors in the morning. Rain check? You're working too hard, Lucy sighed, but I get it. Just don't forget to. She was interrupted by another incoming call. My father this time. I ignored it. Still not talking to them? Lucy asked. Nothing to say, I answered. They made their choice. I'm making mine, I said, as I balanced my phone and briefcase to reach my car. Back at our compact office in the co-working space, I found Quinton waiting by my desk. He smirked as usual, but his expression seemed slightly forced. Nice setup, he commented, motioning around the modern workspace. Very modest. What do you want, Quinton? Can't a brother check up on his sister? He placed a folder on my desk. Actually, I have a business proposal. Ads company wants to go green. Good PR and all. We could utilize your services. I stared at him. You're asking me to provide packaging to the company you took from me? Come on, Jess, it's just business. Think about it. Guaranteed contract, steady revenue. Ad regrets how things ended. This could be a route to keep you in the family business. I have my own family business now, I responded, setting down my briefcase. And we're doing just fine without your help. Are you? He picked up a prototype container. These startup costs must be gnawing at you. Where'd you get the capital? That's none of your concern, I said, taking the container from him. Ow, if you'll excuse me, I have work to do. Dad's not going to like this, Quinton said as I escorted him to the door. He thinks you're being stubborn. Dad lost the right to have an opinion about my choices, I said firmly. Send my regards to Meredith. After he exited, I slumped into my chair, my hands slightly trembling. They were feeling apprehensive. Good. The restaurant chain contract would be revealed next week, confirming Green Shift Solutions as a credible player. iPhone illuminated with a message from Sarah. Contract signed and forwarded to your attorney. Looking forward to working together. I smiled, thoughts drifting to my grandmother. She had built her empire from scratch, overcoming far greater challenges than I was facing. The trust fund aided, but the vision, the labor, the persistence, that was all me. Opening my laptop, I began preparing for the upcoming investor meeting. Let Quinton run my father's company into the ground. I was building something superior, something sustainable in every sense of the word. The future was green, and I was committed to leading the way, not as my father's daughter or Quinton's stepsister, but as my own person, as my grandmother's granddaughter. The sustainability conference hall buzzed with energy as I completed setting up our Green Shift Solutions booth. 6 months of diligent effort had brought us to this moment, our official market launch. Press badges mingled with corporate name tags among the growing crowd. Everything looks perfect, Lucy stated, adjusting our banner. The prototypes were already garnering attention. A reporter from Business Weekly approached, notebook in hand. MS. Jessica, she began, I'd love to get your perspective on disrupting the sustainable packaging industry. Before I could answer, a familiar voice pierced the crowd. Disrupting? That's a bit ambitious, isn't it? Quinton stood there, wearing a suit that likely cost more than our booth rental. Behind him, my father and Meredith watched the scene unfold. What are you doing here? I asked, maintaining a level voice. Industry event, sis. Open to all participants, Quinton replied, picking up one of our display containers. Though calling these revolutionary seems like a reach, we're launching our own eco-friendly line next quarter. The reporter's pen moved swiftly across her notepad. Mr. Quinton, you're claiming your company is also entering the sustainable packaging market? Indeed, he smiled. With our resources and established clientele, we'll offer more competitive pricing than smaller operations. Lucy stepped forward, but I gently touched her arm. Actually, I interjected to the reporter, I'd love to discuss our recent contract with a national restaurant chain. They chose us specifically for our innovative methods and cost-effective solutions. The reporter's eyes widened. National restaurant chain? That's a major account for a fledgling company. We've also secured partnerships with 3 major retail chains, I continued, noting Quinton's smirk fading. Would you like to see our impact projections? Jessica, my father intervened, his voice low. Can we talk privately? Sorry, Dad, I replied. I'm busy with potential clients. I turned back to the reporter. Shall we discuss those projections? As I walked away with the reporter, I overheard Meredith whisper, how did she secure those contracts so quickly? The next hour passed in a whirlwind of interviews and displays. Our booth attracted consistent interest, especially after Business Weekly tweeted about our national restaurant chain partnership. This is exceeding our expectations, Lucy beamed, handling another inquiry. We've got 5 potential clients requesting meetings next week. I spotted Quinton arguing with my father near the entrance, gesticulating angrily in my direction. Moments later, he stormed over to our booth. Real clever, he sneered. You just had to steal the limelight, didn't you? Steal? I laughed. Like you stole my inheritance? That company was handed to me fair and square. Precisely, I met his gaze. Nothing in your life was earned, Quinton. That's where we differ. You think you're so shrewd, he lowered his voice. But where did you get the startup capital, huh? Dad's been asking questions. Something doesn't add up. Sounds like a you problem, I replied, turning to greet another potential client. But Quinton seized my arm. Listen, little, is there an issue here? A tall man in an expensive suit interjected. I'm Thomas from Eco Retail Group. We're very interested in your products, Jessica. But if this is a bad time... Quinton let go of my arm, forcing a grin. No issue at all, just a family discussion, he said. Former family, I corrected, extending my hand to Thomas. Shall we explore your packaging requirements? As I guided Thomas to our meeting area, I noticed my father observing from across the hall. For a moment our eyes locked. He seemed older, somehow worried. Meredith whispered something in his ear, and they walked away. Impressive operation you've established, Thomas remarked, perusing our catalog. Your grandmother would be proud. I paused. You knew my grandmother? He smiled. Margaret was a force of nature. We surfed on several boards together. Tears welled up in my eyes, but I blinked them away, remembering my grandmother always said her granddaughter would shake things up one day. I hope I'm meeting her expectations. From what I've witnessed today, you're surpassing them, he noted, handing me a business card. Let's arrange a formal meeting. Eco Retail Group has over 200 outlets needing sustainable packaging solutions. By day's end, we gathered more business cards than I could tally. Lucy embraced me as we dismantled the booth. You showed them, she said. You showed everyone. I saw Quinton depart, undoubtedly retreating to inform my father about our success. Let them fret, let them speculate. My phone buzzed with a message from Virgil. Your grandmother's trust fund is now active. First profitable quarter established. Congratulations. I smirked, sliding the phone away. The financial backing was useful, yet today's achievement was entirely mine, and this was merely the beginning. Lucy lounged in my new office chair, glancing at her tablet. Green Shift Solutions announces 3rd consecutive quarter of growth. She read, eco-friendly packaging startup disrupts industry with innovative solutions. I marveled at the progress visible through the expansive windows of our city center office. Read the part about the expansion again. Under CEO Jessica's leadership, Lucy continued, the company has secured contracts with major national retailers and restaurants, aiming for international expansion by next quarter. Suddenly, Maria, our office manager, burst through the door. Jessica, you have to see this, she urged, handing me her phone displaying urgent news. Joseph Industries stock plummets over environmental violations and mismanagement. Lucy peered over at the screen. Your father's company. Oh wow, this is serious. The article exposed how my father's firm had illegally disposed of toxic materials to save undwindling profits. Quinton's leadership was pinpointed as a factor in the downturn. iPhone began to ring, Meredith's number flashing. I declined it. They're estimating the fines in the millions, Maria added, plus cleanup expenses. Another call, this time from my father. It went to voicemail. Lucy straightened. You don't think they'll seek your aid? They already are. I showed them Quinton's text. Need to talk. Family emergency, please. What will you do? Lucy asked, hesitant. Before I could reply, Maria's phone vibrated again. There in the lobby your father and Quinton. Should I deny them entry? I pondered the evening, spent sleepless after they'd taken my inheritance. Quinton's arrogant demeanor at every event, my father's absence when I needed him the most. No, I resolved to send them up. 5 minutes later they stood uneasily in my office, my father appearing aged beyond his years, and Quinton's branded suit not concealing his desperation. "Nice office," my father remarked, surveying the room. "You've done well for yourself." "What do you want?" I asked. Quinton stepped forward. "We need your help. The environmental infractions occurred under the previous system before we assumed control. But you conceal them instead of addressing them," I interjected. "I've seen the report. The penalties will ruin us," my father admitted quietly. "We need a collaborator with expertise in sustainable practices, someone who can aid our transition and restore trust." "And you thought of me?" I chuckled. "How convenient." "Look," Quinton's voice trembled. "I realize we made a mistake about everything. You evidently know what you're doing. We're offering you the opportunity to return, to reintegrate into the family business." "Family business?" I retorted, standing. "You mean the business you stole from me? The one you've driven to collapse?" "Jessica, please," my father implored, stepping closer. "We're family." "Family?" I echoed. "Where was family when you bestowed everything upon Quinton, when he attempted to sabotage my enterprise, when Meredith spread lies regarding my funding sources?" They both looked duly ashamed. "I built this enterprise from the ground up. No family ties. No handed-down clients, merely through hard work and vision. Something neither of you can comprehend." "We can offer you majority shares," Quinton proposed desperately. "Whatever you desire." "I don't want your failing enterprise," I replied. "I have my own." My father sank into a chair. "Without assistance, we'll lose everything," he confessed, echoing my past loss. I pressed a button on my desk. "Maria, please escort them out." "Jessica," my father stammered, looking more worn than I'd ever seen him, "I apologize for everything. I made a grave error." Momentarily, my resolve swayed. Then I recollected my grandmother's words. Jessica needs to grasp the significance of losing everything before truly building something she's own. "I'm sorry too, Dad," I whispered, "but you made your choice. Now you must bear it." After they departed, Lucy embraced me. "Are you all right?" Examining the accolades adorning my walls, the prospering team outside my door, the skyline view obtained through personal effort, I smiled. "You know what? I really am." My phone buzzed again with another text from Quinton. "Please reconsider. We need you." I deleted it unread. They needed me before, when I worked exhaustive 80-hour weeks grasping the business, when I introduced new clients and modernized operations. But they never value my efforts. Now they can witness their company's downfall while mine ascends. Occasionally, karma works in flawless ways. The headlines of Joseph Industries' bankruptcy sprawled across every business platform. I sat at my desk, perusing the news. Family company collapses, environmental infractions instigate corporate ruin, CEO Quinton resigns amid turmoil. A knock interrupted. Maria's head peeked around the door. "Your father's here again, the third instance this week." Sighing, I closed my laptop. "Send him in." He entered slowly, starkly different from the commanding businessman I once admired. His suit draped loosely over his frame, hair more gray than black. "The house is being sold," he stated bluntly upon settling into the opposite chair. "Meredith is filing for divorce." I acknowledged, maintaining a neutral tone. "Where's Quinton?" "Dubai. Allegedly courting investors." He chuckled hollowly. "No one will consider us now." I poured 2 cups of coffee, sliding one over. "Why are you here, Dad?" "I've done a lot of thinking lately," he confessed, staring into the mug, "about choices, about legacy." "Your grandmother would be gravely disappointed in me." "Probably," I agreed. "She believed in earning success, not gifting it away like you did." He gestured to my office. 2 years ago, I thought I was shielding the company by granting control to Quinton. I misguided myself into believing he possessed the right attributes, that you were too sentimental. And now, I observe you revolutionizing the industry, altering business norms." His eyes moistened. "You accomplished everything I envisioned for the company just without me." "I had assistance," I remarked, recalling my grandmother's trust, "just not yours." "The trust fund," he acknowledged. "Virgil divulged it to me last week. Mother always had the foresight that many lacked, including me. Right after I wed Meredith, she prepared for what I couldn't see my new wife was doing, pushing you aside by affecting my decisions," he expressed with a summer smile. "It wasn't only about Meredith," I quietly added. "You made choices, Dad." "I did," he acknowledged, removing an envelope from his coat. "That's why I'm here. They are my remaining shares in Joseph Industries. They're currently nearly worthless." Yet he placed the envelope on my desk. It's always been fitting that you have them. I glared at the envelope. I don't desire them. I understand, he stood, but it's imperative you accept them, not to salvage the company that's beyond hope, but because they rightfully belong to you. For my error. Dad, you know the hardest thing to bear? He shifted to the window, gazing at the city, witnessing your triumphs without my involvement, knowing I could have been part of something phenomenal had I only believed in my own daughter. Joining him by the window, I murmured, I would have merited your pride. You already have, Jessica, albeit differently than I anticipated. You created something beyond my capacity, your way, the right way. Is that why Meredith is departing, because you lost it all? No, he shook his head. She's leaving since Quinton drained their accounts before fleeing. Like mother, like son, I speculate. Despite everything, a sympathy flickered within me. What's your plan now? Start anew, perhaps a small apartment, maybe consultancy if hired. His tie was adjusted. Jessica, I'm not here seeking aid. I simply needed you informed. I comprehend now and apologize. When he turned to exit, I interjected, Dad. At the door, he halted. There's a cafe nearby with decent breakfast sandwiches. Maybe next week? A faint smile curved his lips. I'd like that. Once he departed, I examined the envelope, recognizing the now feudal shares of my father's fallen empire. I mind compared them to my company's latest formidable financial results. Another notable quarter. Lucy entered abruptly. Is it your dad leaving? Are you all right? I'm okay, I assure, truly fine. What did he want? I slipped the envelope in my desk drawer to concede he erred, to assert his pride in me and plan assistance for him. Reflecting on Grandma's legacy and earning success, I firmly replied no, but maybe breakfast with him next week. Lucy grinned. Your grandmother would concur, realizing with certainty she was correct. Sometimes destinies weren't about vengeance. They were about consciously choosing one's route, even amidst attempts to obstruct it, occasionally listening when those who have wronged confront their mistakes. An autumn breeze whispered amid gravestones as I laid fresh blossoms on my grandmother's burial site. The sunrise highlighted the marble, her name engraved in an elegant script. I came with someone, Grandma, I softly conveyed while stepping aside for my father. Trembling, he set down his bouquet beside mine. We've been gathering for breakfast every Wednesday this last month, delicately reconstructing what was lost. He wished to accompany me today. Hello, Mother, his voice thick with emotion. I should have come sooner. A phone alert buzzed. News about Quinton's arrest trying to access frozen accounts in Dubai. Meredith fled with whatever she salvaged in Europe. Did you hear? Dad queried. I merely nodded. Karma works in mysterious ways. Naturally, he agreed, tightening his now worn tie. Something to inform you secured a job offer recently. A consulting firm focusing on aiding companies in shifting to sustainable methodologies. Dad, that's fantastic. They found me through you, believing if I educated you on business grounds, I must be worth the hire. He jokingly added, but I confess you taught me immensely. A familiar voice penetrated the air. Jessica, I assumed you'd be here. Virgil approached with a folder, relaying instructions for my grandmother post-achievement obligations. You've surpassed them all, he commented, offering the folder. Grandma's handwriting detailed, my precious Jessica, if you're reading, you've accomplished more than obtaining your legacy, but have truly earned it. Created foundational, meaningful value, and learned the essence true success stems not from receiving but generating. Regrettably, secrecy surrounded the trust fund, aiming for your internal strength discovery. Your father's twig in this journey required sacrificing too, though probably more arduous. Remember, legacy encapsulates impact, not financiabilities. Contribute meaningfully. Love, Grandma. Tears watered my eyes passing the letter to my father. He carefully read, then folded, whispering, she foresaw my failings yet wisely knew extract insights. Just as you revealed, everything had to shatter to establish refined creations. Virgil mentioned additional wishes, a specified foundation for young female entrepreneurs championing sustainability was envisioned after validating your capability. I stared at him, a foundation urging young entrepreneurs, women, to launch sustainable businesses. He cheered. Grandparents believed paying ahead benefits. My father delicately touched the headstone, identifying her intrinsic nature. Watching between the grave and folder, I realized her provision exceeded mere escape routes. It was a mission. Dad, I questioned abruptly. Interested in assisting with the foundation? Your expertise brings valued contributions. Thought lined his face, followed by heartfelt gratitude. trust me with that? Trust demands earning, like achieving success. Everyone deserves reclamation opportunities. Virgil extended an official pen my way. As I signed the foundation documents beneath my grandmother's grave, an intense serenity enveloped me. My father's presence wasn't as a betrayer anymore, but one learning progressive exertion. Adversant to Meredith and Quinton's Europe-based repercussions, while I cultivated new ventures, motivated by aspirations rather than male intent. What title for it, Dad asked, gazing at my grandmother's inscribed name, mindful of her spirit, intelligence, and merit-based accomplishments. The Legacy Foundation, I announced. True legacy isn't inheritance. It's the constructive path ahead given our endeavors. Wind gusts gathered leaves. My grandmother's approving presence, nearly tangible as I realized losing my original legacy, manifested toward an exalted ulterior, sustainable success alongside enlightenment, guiding not from vendettas but higher insights. Within imprints of our choices and roots lived the genuine reward left unfaltered by Grandma, myself positioning to extend its bestowed legacy.